Together, we can make a difference. That's been the sign off for everything Livestream for the Cure related ever since the event began back in 2017. Hello everyone, my name is Nick and I am the host of the Livestream for the Cure, an annual charity event to raise money for the Cancer Research Institute for immunotherapy research for a world immune to cancer. And over the past 6 years, we've made that difference together. Amazing listeners, amazing viewers, amazing podcast partners and content creators all coming together, and we've raised over $70,000. But this year, we're going to make our biggest difference to date, and we're going to raise $25,000 for the Cancer Research Institute. Tune into the event at twitch.tv/livestreamforthecure starting May 18th, as we're joined again by podcast partners and content creators from around the world to help the Cancer Research Institute crush cancer. Together, we will make a difference.
It's Morphin time.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, and comics. I am your host, Josh Scar, and joining me this week is the wonderful and clearly has never listened to our podcast and heard our intro music, Bekkie. Bekkie, how you doing?
Skip it. I skip it every time.
You can't skip it. It's a jam.
I'm a skipper. That's how I do. I always pull up an episode.
I didn't know you captained boats.
Yep. I'm the skipper. I go about 15 seconds in, and then I like to just jump right into
it. Leo, I'm sorry. If you're listening this week, I'm so sorry that Bekkie skips the theme music you've made for us. It as the kids say, it slaps.
It does slap. Fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji. Snapping emoji.
Or as Matt would say, chef's kiss, chef's kiss.
Yeah, that is, but I can't take that because that's his. Josh, what are we talking about?
Are you coming
today?
back for our episode 100 with all the big talking smackdowns?
I want to. Yes.
We have to coordinate because that's going to have to be a pre-record.
Yeah, also, oh my goodness. Don't even get me started on Discord. It's probably the worst thing I ever had to put on my phone. The ADHD, anxiety, when I see all those purple messages, I just look at my phone and I go, I can't do this. And I put it down. It's so much.
You just need to be in the admin channel where you have all the special permissions.
Yep, that's the one I go check, and then that's when I go, hey, I'm not dead. See you guys in about a month. That's my contribution.
Speaking of not being dead, the Power Rangers franchise is still running 30 years later. And we're going to talk about the Netflix 30th anniversary special, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always. But first, we are going to hear from our friends over at the Watchin' Stuff pod. We'll be right back.
What do you guys think of Bucky's apartment? I was waiting for Captain America to be like, you live like this? This fight scene is sick, though. Like, the staircase fight is...
When he kills the guy for block.
I'm not going to kill anybody, except this man I'm going to...
Or the guy he punches with the battering ram directly in the chest.
Or literally any of the people here who they have killed.
Most of them, yeah.
Who they like hang off the side of a railing.
Yeah.
When he flips that battering ram around and just punches the dude directly in the center of the chest with it, like, you probably punctured a lung.
Yeah.
At least one.
Yeah, no, that man went to the hospital for internal bleeding, and the doctor said it was not looking good, like immediately. That's exactly how that.
He didn't have good insurance. You killed him.
And we are back. If you haven't checked out Watchin' Stuff, I strongly recommend it. It's a great time. They are fun.
Well, we don't do that here in this podcast, so let's begin.
No, there's no fun here because we're about to talk about Power Rangers, and I'm about to have a big nostalgia trip. I've got my Power Morpher staring me down right now on my shelf, and it's just begging me to pick it up and yell it's Morphin time. But kids are sleeping, so I can't do that.
No yelling.
So we watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Once and Always. I have so many thoughts. Mainly being it felt so good to be back in like Saturday morning pajamas and watching this show that like just put me in this really warm comfort blanket of like, I love these characters. I love the aesthetic of these things. The acting is horrible. that's not what we're here for.
So bad. So bad. Also, they're so old.
They are. And
They're so old.
I've met David Yost. He is the nicest guy ever.
I know, that's
I
the thing.
felt
You genuinely like all of them. Like, I was like, yeah, check us out. Like, I'm so excited. Like, look how cute they all are together. But then I was just like, God damn, Billy. Whoa, buddy.
well, the wig they put him in, like, I understand that they need to have this appeal to a younger audience, but David Yost's hairline is not the issue with some of these people. Like, he
Nope.
can have a receding hairline and still be Billy. And like, I thought the top part of the wig looked pretty good, but the sides, I like every now and then I was like, okay, that's no, oh God, it's a close up. No, the sides. Who did this wig?
I was also watching, like, is that I didn't think he had hair. And I was like, oh my God, they put a wig on. They put a wig on. It took me a while, but I was like, oh my God.
He still has a decent head of hair, but it's
I know,
not
it's
as
just
thick.
I mean, look
And
at all
it's-
this forehead right now. Josh can see it. It's awful. Look, that's like a 7 head. That's an 8 head right there. God damn. Jesus. He's blinded because I'll do that there.
But we also got Walter Jones back. I think this is his second time coming back for a Power Rangers thing, which this is the first time David Yost has ever come back for a Power Rangers thing. Because he joined the Actors Union, and one of the things Power Rangers does to keep costs down is they don't cast union actors. So that way they can kind of get away with whatever the hell they want to do with them, have long hours, have them shoot so many days in a row. But David Yost is like, you're a multi-billion-dollar property now, and Saban Brands is doing stuff like adaptations for Glitter Force and other shows like that. So like Saban Brands doesn't own Power Rangers anymore, but before, last time I had a chance to like speak to him in any kind of setting, which this was an open Q&A at a convention, Saban Brand still owned the property, and he was just like, you have the money, pay the actors and pay the union fees to do this thing right, which Saban will never do because he's a cheapskate and he wants his bottom dollar. But Hasbro seems to be willing to negotiate with the actors, and they understand that having 30 years of a continuously running property is pretty impressive, and going back to having at least 2 of the original actors from the series come back and reprise their roles and basically be a couple of dads to an orphan girl. I thought that was a lot of fun. Who plays Min? Charlie Kirsch. Charlie Kirsch plays Trini's daughter Min, and in the movie, I guess you would call it a movie. It's a special. I don't know.
I know. It was like an hour.
It's a TV special. So like, I guess you couldn't say it's a movie because to be like a theatrical movie, you have to be 60 minutes or longer, where this is like 55. So probably some union stuff there. They don't have to pay the movie money.
Yeah, that's.
But Trini dies early on by a Robo Rita. Rita has been reincarnated as a robot somehow, and she kills Trini, who heroically saves Billy, and then Billy and Zach become like mandads to Min, Trini's daughter. And Charlie Kirsch is like the quintessential Power Rangers actor. Like, she looks good in what she does, but when she starts to speak her lines, you're like, ooh, you need more acting classes.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
You were clearly cast because you can do some of the physical stuff and not because you are a talented actor.
Yes. That part was.
I don't mean to speak ill, but like, that's Power Rangers to a T. Like that's
really
all
is.
it is.
I mean, you kind of expect it.
Walter Jones is a highlight in this one. I think he puts way more into this than I think anyone should. But I think that just speaks to how awesome he is, because he's giving it his all. When you heard that it's Morphin time, that's him in the intro.
Yep.
Like that was the best one.
Down.
Yeah, he says it's Morphin time, and it's time to go.
Yeah, she was a little rough, but they all are, so.
Yeah, and I think Min did get a Morphin time at the end in the climactic fight on the moon, but
Yep,
it
get to say it.
it fell so flat. I'm like, she needs to be excited, she needs to be intense, and she's just like, it's Morphin time.
I should be a Power Ranger.
I
Intensity,
have a power morpher.
excitement. I got it.
Give me your best. It's Morphin time.
Ooh, all right, are you ready? It's morphing time. How's that?
You got the job.
I got it. Yes. Excellent. Saber-tooth tiger. Form of an ice menorah. Oh, wait, different show.
So you're younger than I am. I think, not to give away your age, you were born around the year Power Rangers started. So you didn't really grow up with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as they debuted and rolled out, correct?
Yes, I was thinking about this because it just existed always. And we're girls. And my brother is who I love is a very effeminate girl. And I just don't think it was something that like we picked up on because we were also like we're switching houses. His mom was in a different city, so like we didn't get like Saturday morning all of us together a lot. I would compare it to however long SpongeBob has now been around because I remember like watching ads for SpongeBob, and then my mom being like, "We are going to sit down and watch the debut episode of this new TV show." She's a cartoon person, so she was like, "This looks so weird and so silly." Like, 'cause she loved Angry Beavers and all that classic Nickelodeon
Oh,
stuff. She's
Angry
like,
Beaver. Hey,
"Let's
there's an Angry Beavers tie-in with this Power Rangers thing.
what?" Okay, you'll have to explain that to me because
I'll
I
explain
missed
that in a second. Yes.
entirely. But yeah, so I remember with SpongeBob, we sat down, we watched it, and then that was our childhood. We were SpongeBob people. We still are. We still quote it. And I was thinking, I was like, well, for you, that probably would have been the same because if you were born in mid '80s and I was born in the early '90s, you would have been around for like, hey, this is now a thing we're going to try out. Let's see what happens. And I just kind of, it was always on. There were always Power Ranger things around, and I didn't even know. I knew what it was without having any idea what it was.
So I was 8 years old when Power Rangers debuted. I had just turned 8, like the month before it debuted, and Jurassic Park came out that year, so I was really big into dinosaurs. My dad was showing me like all the Jean Claude Van Damme movies, so I was really big into karate. And this was just like the perfect thing. Plus, there's giant robot dinosaurs. Like, sign me up. Here's my parents' credit card. Give me all the stuff.
You're like, I want to see it.
I was 8 years old. I remember seeing it and just immediately falling in love with it. You had the cute girl and Amy Jo Johnson. Even at 8 years old, I was like, "Dang, she's cute." And you had the badass Red Ranger. You had like they had I don't know if they debuted their weapons in the first one, but like after the second episode aired, I know they had done it by then. And it hit everything you wanted in a series for kids. And I didn't know at the time because we had the tube televisions that had horrible resolution on everything. So like that they were using recycled stock footage from a different TV show from years prior. I had no idea. I was 8 years old and I didn't care. It looked awesome. And I think that is actually where this 30th anniversary special fell a little flat for me is when we're going to jump around. Like we're not going to go story by story,
No,
beat by beat.
we don't care.
At the end of the special, they go to the moon to fight Robo Rita, and they call on the Dragon Zords, or not the Dragon Zords, the Dinozords. Leading up to this, I've seen a handful of Power Rangers episodes modernly, but I don't watch it religiously. I usually check out once we get to the Megazord, just because they CGI the Megazords now in the big
Yep.
giant fights, kaiju fights, and it just looks bad. Like the 1995 movie has better CGI in my opinion than what they do here, which I mean, it's a TV budget. CGI is expensive, and this show is not about expensive, it's about merchandising. So they're not trying to spend money to make it look good, they're just trying to sell toys. And I was really concerned that they were going to CGI the Megazord for this final fight. I was hoping they would get a guy in a suit, in a big cardboard suit, and just do the old school fight thing. And we see the Tyrannosaurus Zord. We see the Mastodon, saber-tooth tiger, Triceratops, and they all look great. It's like they updated the previous footage from the 90s, and it just like in high definition, and it looks great. And then you see the pterodactyl fly out, and you're like, "Ooh, that's a little rough. That's not looking great.
That was bad.
What's happening here? What's happening?" And then you see them go into tank mode, and it's like, okay, this doesn't look bad. And then it becomes the Megazord, and it looks awful. And then they have it flipping around and doing a whole bunch of different things, and the CGI just looks so bad. And my Saturday morning high just became a Monday morning low.
I was like, wow, this is so bad. Yeah, as soon as it started being like, hoo-yah, flip this, I was like, yep, I'm out. I'll skip. I'm all set.
I was there for I'm there for all of that, but the CGI alone, just the the CGI alone just really took me out of the moment, because I'm not expecting good computer animation from this series. I'm just expecting fun. And for me, at least, the CGI is not fun. It just looks really bad, and it
It
really
looked
takes you out
bad,
of the moment.
almost like it was taking itself too seriously. Like, I don't know. I was like, are you guys trying to flex? What's the flex here? Just do the thing. Like, just, classic, whatever. I don't, yeah, it felt like it was like, hey, like, we're,
And they're getting Netflix money. They're getting Netflix money to do this whole thing. So, like, why can't they put a guy in a suit and create a foam rubber giant lizard suit too? Like, you got them.
oh my God. that came out of nowhere.
I wish we were a video podcast, just because that was too great. Bo just came in from off screen and just slowly peeked in from the side,
It was
right
so
into Rebecca's face.
That was like he was in it to win it. This guy, he watched it. We were sitting on the couch together. He got up and left. I don't know what that says, but normally he sits on the couch.
Yeah, he's too young. He wasn't born for this.
Well, he got really interested. I think I was like halfway when they use the electromagnetic trap to
Oh yeah.
get like snizzard or whatever. Then they like get him up there, and they're like, "Yes, it's working." And then, goddamn, that girl comes in and she's like, "You're not gonna murder them straight up?" And you're like, well, "I will." I wrote down some of my notes, which were very many. One, my favorite line in the entire movie was, "Thanks, I hate it." I was like, "That's so fucking good." It's modern, it's hilarious, but you said you wanted a surprise. Thanks, I hate it. I was like, that was probably the best delivered line as well. It wasn't corny or cheesy at all. It was good acting right there for that moment. And then the theme throughout the entire thing is like, she killed mom, which no one ever refers to their parents like that. Why is that a movie thing? If my mom died, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, that bitch killed my mom." Not like, "Mom would have wanted me to do this." I don't know why. Taking out the "my" is really weird to me. You guys aren't related to her. She's the only one. What? Anyway, but goddamn, they were kind of brutal about that whole thing.
Yeah, they say Rita, before they do the big Megazord fight, she gets pinned to a column in her moon palace, and she's like, "I'll kill you! I'll kill you!" And I'm like, Jesus, they never said the K word before. Like, I'm pretty sure Disney still doesn't. Like,
I thought the same thing, and then she goes, "What was the one that I was like?" Oh my God, like what is happening? This is brutal. Is when when Min's there and she's like, "Ah, yes, like I've never killed a Power Ranger twice." And she's like, "We're gonna get them while they're sleeping and kill them in their sleep." That's her plan.
Yep.
I was like,
yeah, her plan is to go back in time and
kill them in their
inform her younger self.
Like, I would understand if she said, "We're gonna defeat," or like, "No Power Ranger will ever get recruited," and you infer that. But the fact that she was like, "We are going to kill them in their sleep," I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. I thought it was quite brutal, all the death shit.
I remember in the Marvel's Ultimate Spider-Man that Disney XD came out with after Spectacular Spider-Man was canceled. there was a Deadpool episode where Will Friedle plays Deadpool. He's like, oh, we're gonna K-word them, and Spider-Man is like, you're gonna kill them, like as a question, because you can't like insinuate the killing, you have to like question it. And he's like, oh, no, I don't say the K word. No, the K word, we do not do that. And I've kind of clocked it, or tried to clock it, ever since finding out about that, like standards and practices. And like with this one, it just, Rita says it so much.
He says it constantly. I'm like,
Yeah.
if she's not saying it, a Power Ranger's coming in like, hey, she killed your mom. And you're just like, okay, thanks for the reminder. We got it. We're all set. Yeah, the beginning scene. We have to tell her that Rita Repulso killed her mother. And then she's like in the room all of a sudden, of course. And is like, one, I should say, zero reaction happens acting wise. She's just like, stand here for a little.
She's stunned. She's in shock.
And then run away.
She's in shock. I get that.
I was expecting like a big thing. I was surprised that it was so subtle. I was like, okay. I was kind of expecting like a whole.
There are some random nuances in this.
Yeah.
Thanks. So I do want to talk a little bit more about Min's journey, especially with I think the Morpher not immediately working with her. I think that was a really nice touch.
I did like that.
Before we get into that, I do want to talk a little bit about like David Yost specifically, just because I like him a lot. The Blue Ranger, as I've gotten older, retrospectively has become my favorite Ranger. I think he's got the coolest helmet. Blue is my favorite color, so like he has that aesthetic. And like the Triceratops is just cool. Like how can you not like the Triceratops, dinosaur, and the Zord? I do find it really funny that they try to get him to act a little bit at times.
They do.
Which, I mean, he's not a terrible actor, but there's that moment where he flashes back to when he brings back Rita as Robo Rita, and this is where I'll get into the Angry Beavers thing too. He's sitting there looking really pensive, but he's just kind of more like just kind of doing a weird like grimace, thinking squint. And then we come back, or we flash back, and he's trying to work with Alpha 8, voiced by Richard Horvitz, who everyone should know as Daggett from Angry Beavers.
I did not know that. Oh my god. Now that you say that, I can hear the voice. You're absolutely.
He's also Billy from Billy and Mandy. He's also Zim from Invader Zim. But he will always be Daggett for me, you spoothead.
That's a great show, by the way.
I love that show. If I ever had a reason to have it, and if we didn't not use the soundboard as infrequently as we do, I would have. There's a line from Angry Beavers that just lives rent free in my head. It's the episode where they're trying to clip box tops from their cereal, and Daggett's trying to get a street sweeper, and he's trying to cheat throughout the entire thing. But Norbert, he says. The way Nick Bekkie delivers this line is just, it's in my head rent free, where he's like, you'll get your very own street sweeper.
I know when he does like those little ones, because he does that a few times, like where he like, I don't know, it's very like melodic almost, but that's one of those shows where both those, without it being like overly done, like SpongeBob is clearly a voice. It's a cartoon voice, so is Patrick. Like, it's a cartoon voice. I think they just picked two really good voice actors for Angry Beavers. They're very unique voices. I like them. I like that show a lot.
Oh yeah, Angry Beavers is top tier Nicktoons. No one can convince me otherwise. But yeah, so going back to Power Rangers, this is just becoming a nostalgia 90s Power Hour for us. Focused mostly on Power Rangers, but we're branching off into so many other things. But yeah, so Rita comes back. She possesses Alpha 8 after coming back from the Morphin grid. Billy's trying to bring Zordon back after he sacrificed himself at like, I think it's Power Rangers in Space. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, because it's when the molecules go out into space. Also, now that Josh is drinking water, my favorite part of any pictures is whenever they say space dumpster. I don't know why, but I think it's great. They're like, what?
And they know it too, because they say it so often.
And they're like, I'm I'm thinking Space Dumpster. I think that's just a cool name. Like, it's not interesting or clever. It's just Space Dumpster. I'm like, all right, I'm down. I'm here for it. I forgot about
Yep.
it until they're like, what is that? Some kind of canister? And they're like, no, that's a space dumpster. And I was like, right, I forgot. That's what that is. That's so funny.
Yeah, I love it. I'm here for it every day, all day. I will say that when they announced the cast for this, I was a little disappointed, only because, and I know he's not listening, and I know someone enjoys him as the Red Ranger and the Blue Ranger and Power Ranger Zeo, but Steve Cardenas as Rocky, he is the worst. And I don't just mean in this special, he is just the worst Power Ranger. And it's through no fault of his own. It's just that because Tommy became such a popular character, the Red Ranger didn't have a role, and then he just kind of fell to the wayside. Like, the only episode I remember him being featured in really is the episode where he like gets possessed by a pachinko machine, and he just becomes obsessed with wanting to have fun, and his Power Rangers just like dancing around like, oh, I just want to have fun. Red Rangers just want to have fun. And he just never did anything. And like, I couldn't even tell you if he had a line of dialogue in the 1995 movie when he became the gorilla Power Ranger, the Red Power Ranger, Ninja Ranger, whatever. I remember Rocky, or not Rocky, Adam, he's like, I'm a frog. And like, that's the only line anyone remembers
like,
from him.
A frog? That's what they picked for that? Okay.
Then Aisha, played by Karen Ashley, who both Johnny Youngbosch and Karen Ashley are in this. They have little cameos towards the end. So I was looking at IMDb's trivia for this special, and Catherine Sutherland as Kat, which I'm sure this is a line you clocked as well, but they warn her about these like proxy coins that they've created that allow Kat and Rocky to morph into the Red and Pink Rangers, despite the fact that apparently Jason, Kimberly, Trini, and I found it weird that Tommy was the Green Ranger. Like, can he just pick whatever Ranger he wants to be? Because shouldn't he be the White Ranger?
I know. I was like, wait, he's the green one? And I was like, maybe it's been a while since I've watched this. Because I was like, I swear to God, he was the white one.
Yeah, I know there's like a legacy morpher or something, or master morpher that they introduced where
You can be whatever one.
there was a he basically gets to just like flip it around and go like Green Ranger Zord, and he can be the Green Ranger, then he can like click it again, he can go White Ranger and Red Ranger, and then Black Ranger, whatever other Ranger he got to be, because he got to be so many different Rangers. But they had these proxy coins because Rita has kidnapped the other original Rangers, and Kat says, I don't care how dangerous pink energy is, I'm gonna help. And I'm like, that's such a weird line for anyone who did not follow the series after Mighty Morphin or even Zeo, that no one's gonna clock what the hell that means. Apparently it's a callback to an episode where Kimberly goes back in time and she gives the power coins to the Power Rangers ancestors, which that even back then, young Josh was like, how are like Rocky and Aisha and Adam's distant relatives living in ancient Angel Grove when Adam, Aisha, and Rocky just moved there?
Yep, they were
to become the new Power Rangers. Like, they're not legacy Angel Grove people. I know it's a kid show and you're not asking me to think about this, but I'm thinking about it even at 10 years old. Kimberly finds the ancestors to the Power Rangers, gives them power coins, and apparently 1800s Zordon is like, hey, it's dangerous to have multiple power coins in the same universe or in the same timeline. And Kimberly's like, fuck that, I don't care. We got to save the world. And I don't care how dangerous pink energy is. And I guess it's become a running joke since then, but I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that went completely over my head. When I was like, pink energy. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it seemed like that might have been an important plot point, but apparently it was just a throwaway reference.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I must have missed something. And then I was like, nope, too lazy to look it up. I am not as well into it.
Well, I didn't even clock it as a reference. I looked
Oh, yeah,
I
I
looked
thought
this up on
line.
IMDb.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I thought that would be a way for them to depower them for a little while, and then they would have to like use some other way to tap into the Morphin grid, and they can hotwire their morphers or something. I don't know, but I thought that was an interesting line at the time, and then I looked it up and saw it was just a reference to another thing, and like, oh, that's disappointing. I thought maybe they just got rid of a storyline because it's Power Rangers, so who cares?
Well, there's a question I wanted to ask you, but I couldn't think of what it was. Oh,
Well, think about it.
I was gonna say Billy versus Tommy. Who do you like better?
Well, I mean, Tommy's gonna win because he's got the more powerful access to the grid between the green chaos energy or whatever and the white ranger, where it's like a manufactured ranger that they had just created. Um, and Tommy is a more skilled martial artist. But I think Billy would put up a decent fight just because he has the go get him.
Well, I was
But
Heart.
he just
He's they all
yeah
they have,
he
that's like that. I was trying to think. I'm like, what is it if he's not like what is that Red Ranger like Blu-ray like what do they got kind of thing like green what's going on and I'm like one of them has to just have heart. That's what it is. Like we can do it, even though I'm really not special.
it's the Captain Planet.
Yeah. I'm not special in any way, shape, or form, but let's make this happen.
Well, among other things, once Rocky came into the picture after Jason, Zach, and Trini left, Billy was still the heart, but he was also no longer like the worst member of the team, or like the most useless member of the team, which he never actually was, because he was always building stuff and working with Alpha to make solutions.
I will say that
Everyone else is just kind of punching.
He's got it's that like the I can fix this. That's the heart energy.
Now you just got me thinking of Captain Planet or Earth, Wind, Water, Fire, Heart. Heart? What?
That would have been me. I highly identified with that one. I was like, overall, pretty useless. Not that cool, but yet somehow the most needed to bring all the other powers together. That's right, motherfucker.
Just call yourself the Glue.
I definitely am, but heart sounds cooler. Does it not?
Nah, Glue. You're part horse.
No. That's when I stopped being useful.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Min's storyline here because we talked about it earlier. Where so a year later, after Trini's been killed, Rita comes back and Billy and Zach are doing their like co-oping dad thing with her, and she's like Bekkie said, she killed mom. Like I need to go and avenge my mother's death, and they're like, no, we're Power Rangers. We do this for a living. You can't do this.
That was intense.
Yeah, she takes the power morpher from the shrine that they had made for Trini, or memorial for Trini, and she's gonna go and morph into the new Yellow Ranger and get revenge. But the morpher doesn't work for her. She thinks all you have to do is yell, "It's morphin' time" or "It's saber-tooth tiger time," and it doesn't change for her because she has vengeance in her heart. She's not a teen with attitude. She's a teen with anger.
Very true.
So there's apparently a difference.
There is, and I do love when they're like that. But the line of the whole, they're like, "This is serious. We're Power Rangers. This isn't teenage girl who has homework due time." And I was like, "Yo, fuck you guys. You were all teenagers. What the fuck?" They're like, "You're."
Yeah, but all they did was hang out at a juice bar and work on their different hobbies and practices in the juice bar.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it was a youth center
Right,
youth bar or the juice bar.
Because I was so excited when she was at the juice bar fighting. I was like, "Oh my god, did I just see juice bar?" But then there was like stability balls and like resistance bands in the corner, and I was like, "Wait, what the fuck was this supposed to be?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's like a youth center kind of thing. We live in America.
Yeah,
Have those here."
They
So
yeah, and they just made it like one set to make things cheaper.
But yes, she does not have attitude. She has anger.
And then at the end of the special, she morphs because they finally believe in her, and she understands that it's not her responsibility to kill Rita.
She jumped.
It's
She
Billy's.
jumped and emulated her mother, and was gonna sacrifice herself for Billy.
Yep, one of her two dads.
I thought they were kind of being silly about like the whole two dad thing. I thought there would be like a joke here or there, and there really wasn't. They made it pretty clear. They kept them pretty separate, I think. Because I was like, oh, like I was like,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Whatever. I thought it was really well done. It wasn't like shoehorned in. It was a pretty natural moment where she's driving the car trying to figure it out. And he's like, help, they've got my boyfriend, they have my boyfriend. And she goes and hits all of them and then flies away. Like it just that it
Yes, it was a really
so,
nice. That was probably the most you could expect for some kind of inclusionary
yeah.
moment in a Power Rangers
Which
thing.
they always did like the hey, look at all these kids of different races, like kind of inclusivity, I guess you could.
They've always been
Yes,
multiracial.
which is like, I mean, still for being around as long as I have is like a thing. But yeah, the fact that they even really thought to do that, I was like, I am impressed. And it was like I said, it wasn't like, oh, that's my boyfriend. And like they made it like a weird thing. It was just like, please help, please help. Like they could have been like, please, they have my daughter. Oh my gosh, my sister's over there. But it was just like, my boyfriend, like, please help. And she's like, I got it, no problem. They hug, they wave at her. It's done. Simple.
If you want to get really nitpicky with it, you could say it's queer baiting because they hug and then they just kind of like hold each other around the hips and wave goodbye to Chitty Chitty Bang
Yeah.
Bang.
But
With the Radmobile.
in Power Rangers, there's not a lot of that. There's no like kissing.
There's not a lot of kissing.
It's always like you're you, and then it's always like a big embrace. But it's not a kissing show. It's not like that.
Yeah, I remember it was a big deal when Kimberly pecked Tommy on the cheek or on the lips when they started dating.
Because that's just. But when there was danger, it was just a big hug. Also, now that I'm thinking more about it, it was a multiracial relationship, and the boyfriend had a cane. Do you know that? Did you notice that at all?
Yeah, I did catch
He
that.
had some kind of.
I didn't really think much about it because I was too busy thinking about like, holy crap, Power Rangers is doing a quick little like, hey, there are gay people that exist in this world and we're gonna save them.
So they kind of threw it all together. They were like, they had gay, they were multiracial, interracial couple, and yeah, he had like some sort of cane, but he wasn't old. So I was like, are they saying like he has some sort of like he's like a like a non-abled person,
cerebral palsy or
I was like, very interesting. That was an interesting little like tidbit in there. I mean, I'm still thinking about it, so good job, I guess.
Yeah, and I know the internet kind of liked that moment too.
Yeah.
Overall, again, like this whole thing really was a lot of fun, and it was a really good blast from the past. I know Ricky enjoyed it for the most part. Ricky watched Power Rangers longer than I did. Like she watched it up through, I think, Mystic Force or something like that.
The thing I paid after was the murder stuff.
Yeah, but overall, I think this is a really, really fun blast from the past. I was actually really impressed with the way the special opened because they used a bunch of old sound clips from the previous series, which you would think the sound quality would be pretty bad. But like Amy Jo Johnson sounds good. Jason David Frank, you get little. I don't think he actually says anything, but you get his like.
Yep.
The only one I noticed that was definitely not from the actor who had done it was Jason. They like went back and found the guy who did the ADR for Jason after Austin St. John had already left the series because I think it's like 2 or 3 episodes before Rocky takes over as the Red Ranger. They have a moment where Jason's in the Red Ranger costume, so they have to obviously ADR something in over the scene, and like Austin St. John has a very distinct voice, and you just have this most generic guy being like, hold on, we will get there and save you. Like you can't try to get someone to voice match like that. I mean, I know you guys are cheap, but come on.
Like, this is not worth it. It's a few things worth it. Nah. Only people.
You couldn't pay him $150 to come in for that one line.
No, God, that's so expensive. What about the cold cuts?
Which I know like Austin St. John was he was under arrest. I forget exactly what he got in trouble for. It's not as bad as the girl from Smallville, but he is like tax evasion or tax fraud,
Oh,
maybe. So basically, he was under house arrest, or he could be at conventions. That was like the only things he could do, which is why he wasn't on in the special either. As someone who didn't grow up on this series specifically, how did you feel about the dedication at the end of the special to Austin or Jason David Frank and Tui Trang?
I like because especially because it took me when they did that because I when there was a Yellow Ranger, I was like, wait, shouldn't that be that girl? And I was like, I'm pretty sure that she's not. She hasn't like she passed away a long time ago. And then yeah, when we got to the end part, I definitely was like that. I thought it was good. I think they did a good job. I think it was very sweet because like they're part of something really big, you know. Even though because the kind of the thing about Power Rangers is that there's so fucking many of them, and yet people still care about like those because like they mattered the most still somehow, if that makes sense. As
Hmm.
opposed to like, here's this a guy, this random guy, oh, this version, like you don't really know a lot of the other ones, but like those originals kind of like that one little section, you just remember them. And I think I was like, that's
Yeah,
pretty cool because as a family member, I don't know if that would have been like how that would feel to be like, hey, they're saying that they basically have the actress who is passed away and then they kill her character. It's like yeah, what, 20 years later they like show her character being killed on screen to like push forward a plot, like it matters, but and then to also have like to have her have like a daughter in the show too, like that would I think be very interesting as a family member to like watch that. Like I wonder how that what that feels like. Does it feel like anything, or is it really not that big of a deal?
I could see it being like a legacy
Yeah.
thing. Like it's a torch passing kind of moment. Like you're carrying on this thing that our daughter started, and I think that could be really really emotional and really powerful if they had any kind of input on it. Um, which I mean, I do think it's interesting to point out that Trini was apparently a single mom as
Yes, she
well.
was.
Yeah, and there were rumors going around the internet, like someone had posted what had looked like a set photo of a toppled over car, and they're like, "This better not be how Trini dies," and everyone immediately went, "They're putting a hypothetical. We're going to take it as fact, saying this is what's going to happen, and how dare you do this?" And like, I don't know if they changed it before they did, but um, I mean, I'm glad they didn't go the route of like, "Hey, we're homaging her and paying tribute to her by having Trini die in a car accident, just like Tui Trang
And I
did."
don't think it would have
And
made
it's like
any.
that.
I think that was just the internet being the internet because that makes no
Yeah,
sense for a revenge storyline. She was a Power Ranger. Like in as far as the show goes, it would make sense for one of them to like die at the hands of Rita Repulsa. Because where would be the revenge? Why would she want to be a Power Ranger if her mom died in a car accident? Like what would the point be?
yeah, and there's no like malice that prevents her from morphing as well, which becomes the main
Yeah.
sticking point. She wants to be a Power Ranger to kill Rita, and then she realizes she wants to save people, not just kill and get revenge. Which last thing I'm going to talk about real quick is obviously Rita's a robot because the actress who played Rita in the stock footage from the Zaya Ranger and then eventually into the Power Ranger series, um, she passed away in the I think late 2000s, like 2008, 2010, somewhere in there. But Barbara Goodson, who is the voice dub for Rita, comes back as the voice for Robo Rita, and she just does her Rita thing, and it's
I know Rita the
fantastic.
whole time. Very well done.
She knows her assignment, and she gets the extra credit with
Yep,
it
she does a
too.
great job. That's exactly what I want a character like that to sound like, and it's really well done.
We talked about it a little earlier. My kids have started watching Miraculous and Cat Noir, and there was an episode on TV literally yesterday or 2 days ago, and I like perked up my ears from doing the dishes, and I walked over to the TV, and I'm like, that sounds like Rita Repulsa. And then she started talking, and then she like did a scream. I'm like, that's Rita Repulsa. And I sat down and just watched the rest of the episode just to pay Barbara a little extra respect for the work she's doing.
Yeah, she is. I must say, she is good. She is very good. That's one of those. I now how I know I'm an old person, quote unquote, or just that my brain is old. Where when I'm watching something, I have to be like, I gotta look that up. I gotta look that up. Damn it, I gotta look that up. And I don't know actors and actresses like you guys do. Sometimes I do, but what I think is it. Pretty sure it's that 70s show, some show older that they're at a concert and the janitor is sweeping up stuff, and I'm pretty sure, oh fuck, I gotta remember what that is. The janitor is either Kevin or Stanley, and I was like, oh my god, and then I immediately went to IMDb. I always have to do that, and like I gotta make sure because I'm like, wait.
I can't. You're talking about from the Kevin or Stanley from The
Yes.
Office?
But I
Okay. Brian Baumgartner is Kevin, and then Leslie I can't remember his last
I
name.
didn't know his.
Who plays Stanley? It's Leslie something. I only remember Brian Baumgartner because he's a Green Bay Packer
Yes,
fan.
he is. But I remember I saw that, and then there's like some other thing where like Phyllis is in it, and I was like, Phyllis! I was like, oh my god! Like I love when that happens. So like, yeah, if I was like in another room and like watching and heard like a Rita Repulsa voice, I would absolutely also be like, whoa. I gotta figure out what this is. That was me with Disenchantment. I didn't put together that was supposed to be. Oh no, not Disenchantment. When I played Final Fantasy X, I had not played Final Fantasy X and simultaneously watched Futurama, so I had no idea that Bender and Waka are the same voice actor. I was like, wait, what?
John
I didn't know that
DiMaggio.
until years later, and I was like, wow, that's really interesting to me. But no,
Well, I'll close it out with this one. Johnny Young Bosch. You may or may not know some of his voice work, but he has made a living in the voice acting world. I'm just scrolling through his IMDb here now. Let's go up here. I just saw Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. He plays Zero. I'm not sure who Zero actually is. He does additional voices in some things. Let's see here. Digimon Adventure. He plays TK Takashi. Final Fantasy VII Remake. He does some additional voice work. Scroll up. I saw Sailor Moon Crystal. What did he do in Sailor Moon Crystal? He's the voice of Artemis in Sailor Moon Crystal. What? I just learned something. He's Sailor Venus's cat. That's awesome. In Naruto Shippuden, he's Sasori and Yagura. I don't watch much anime.
Listen, I'm not one of those people. I've tried. I can't do it. What's the most recent anime I tried watching? Hunter x Hunter or whatever? Jesus Christ. I just don't get it. I don't understand.
Let's scroll down to. I know he also. I don't know if you've heard of Danganronpa. I believe he plays the protagonist in Danganronpa 2. Let's see here. In Bleach, he plays Ichigo Kurosaki. I'm sorry. In Dot Hack, he's Kun and Nero.
Wow, he's in a lot of big stuff.
He's a big player in anime. He's done a lot of voice work. Oh geez, that one almost put me through a loop. So I don't. In the modern Sailor Moon redubs that they've been doing, they've been trying to keep cohesion. So like Stephanie Sheh is Sailor Moon in Sailor Moon Crystal, and they've been redubbing the old 90s 80s series anime. So like Stephanie Sheh has been doing the voice in those series as well. So I went all the way down to the start of his filmography, and I saw Sailor Moon R, the movie, 1993, Artemis. I'm like, what? No way. This guy did not do this back in 1993. And then Mitch Hedberg style, parentheses, it says, 2015 English version. Like, okay. All right. My brain is not
I'm going to have
broken.
to like actually pull up an episode of that and watch it. I watched the Magical Girl sequence and I was like, yeah, I don't like this Crystal style. It's very long limbed and weird. They look like Betty Spaghettis. It's very bizarre to me.
Yeah, like that was actually my first exposure to Sailor Moon.
No, the original is so cheesy and good and perfect and really well done. And then I tried watching that and I was like, this is not at all what I was expecting.
It's much more dramatic, and from what I understand, it follows the anime a lot closer.
It's supposed to be like super close, but I was like, I missed the one I used to watch on Saturday morning, essentially.
All right, well, let's get out of here because it's getting late for me. I don't know about you, young person, but I'm old and I have to get to bed.
Scale of 1 to 10. How'd we think?
No, we don't do one scales. We do must watch or pass, or must see
I
or
know, but that's
pass.
so you need like a.
It's the internet. There's no in between. If you say it's a 7 out of 10, they're going to say, "Why'd you hate
That's
it?"
true.
So that's why we do must see or
Okay.
pass. I say it's a must see. I think it's a lot of fun. If you have a nostalgia
Yeah.
for that Saturday morning feeling, it's there, and it's a must
If
see
you
for
did
me.
not grow up watching Power Rangers and you also like don't have the lightheartedness to accept what Power Rangers is, which is very corny and bad and cheesy, then it would be a skip. But if you had that nostalgia, which we do, it would be a watch. If I did it for you guys more than anything, but then also when I saw it's an hour, I was like, oh yeah, like I'll embroider while it's on, and I ended up putting the embroidery down and just kind of watching it because I was like, okay, I remember all this kind of stuff.
Do you have a spider on your shoulder? Your right shoulder, I think. It's like in. I can't see it, but it might have gone under your hood.
Oh my god! Don't do that to me.
I'm serious. I'm not trying to freak you out. It like we'll take a second, go into the bathroom or something, find a mirror, and it'll be like on your right shoulder. I thought it was like a clump of hair or something, but it's
wasn't
now
my ponytail.
No, it was definitely like a clump of
That's
something.
not good. I'm taking this off.
Like,
oh god. Oh god.
yeah, just quickly get it over your face, and then it might be in your hood.
Okay, it's not on my back.
Not that I see. No.
Oh my god.
It wouldn't have gone down your collar.
That was scary. Was it? All right, there's nothing in it. It's clean.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was seeing stuff. Just one of the few moments where I wish.
Wonder if it was like my ponytail.
I don't. No, because it was like lower on your shoulder, and then as you were like talking, it kept like creeping up.
I don't know. I'm like looking on the ground. Oh, that was scary.
I saw.
I've not had a.
I wish I could have. I wish we had video recording so I could be like, I'm not insane.
I've had like flies in here because I don't have like a screen. I have like a Juliet balcony. I just open up the door, but I haven't had like a bug yet, which I've lived alone for the past 5 years, and I'm gonna live alone for the rest of forever. That's like my plan because I just love being alone. But I realize I have to be the bug killer. I do not like spiders. Mm-hmm. I don't like bugs. I'm deathly afraid.
I didn't want to freak you out, but I also didn't want a spider to have to like start crawling up your neck or something.
When you said it, I was like, oh my god, what if I'm like being really like patient and like all of a sudden it starts crawling on my skin?
No, it looked like it went under the fold of your hood, so it would be like. All right, let's wrap this up.
That was exciting.
So yeah, you said it's a must see if nostalgia. If there's a weird cut here, it's because Rebecca had potentially had a spider on her shoulder, and I'm just editing out all of the post spider talk. I may have just been seeing a weird glitch on her screen. I don't know. But Rebecca said that it's a must see as well if you have nostalgia. If you don't, then give it a pass because you have no soul and you don't care for B-movies.
Yeah, you would not enjoy it if you don't like B-movies.
So, Rebecca, thanks so much for taking the time to be here. Feel free to share your socials if you want to.
You know what? All my stuff got deleted, and I don't do social media very well. But I have one that's called Bex, B-E-X, and then there's a period after every word. It's Bex in the STL because I'm cool now, and I moved to St. Louis. And my other one is No Coast Threads. And that's where I do all my embroidery stuff. And we're setting up for some markets, which is very exciting for me. I'll be selling my very first market set up in St. Louis. That should be cool.
All right. Well, definitely check her out on the Instagrams and other places. You can follow us on Instagram at Talking Smack Pod. You can follow us on Twitter at Talking Smack Pod as well. You can follow me at Josh_Scar. Please join our Discord. Rebecca's too old to use it, but we aren't. Please email us your thoughts, opinions, suggestions at tsmackpod@gmail.com. Thank you to Leo Allen for our musical themes and Beppo for our original avatars, and Retro Ale Studios for our new Ricky avatar. Retro Ale Studios for our new Ricky avatar. Please like, subscribe, rate, review, and most of all, thanks so much for listening, everyone, and take care.
Oh, those wretched rangers give me such a headache!